Saudi Arabia is usually known for oil, luxury, and unimaginable wealth. Skyscrapers, supercars, and golden cities shape the image of this powerful desert nation. But behind this shine hides a disturbing reality. Saudi Arabia is rich in money, yet poor in one of the most basic gifts of nature: water. It is like owning a palace made of gold, but having only 2 sips of drinking water. Saudi Arabia is the largest country in the world with not a single natural river. Almost 98% of its land is burning desert, and rainfall is close to nothing. Long stretches of silent sand dunes dominate the landscape, where life struggles to survive. Still, something unbelievable is happening in the heart of this desert. Saudi Arabia has started creating its own rivers. These are not ordinary rivers. Water does not flow down from mountains here. Instead, it is being pushed upward against gravity, climbing mountains through massive underground systems. Thousands of kilometers of freshwater pipelines now run beneath the sand, forming an artificial river network that seems to challenge the laws of nature. But this raises a shocking question. If Saudi Arabia has no rivers and almost no rain, where is all this water coming from? And more importantly, how did they make the impossible possible? Saudi Arabia's climate is extremely hot and dry. In the capital city, Riyadh, the average yearly rainfall is only 116 millimeters, which is almost nothing. At the same time, the country's population has exploded. In 1950, Saudi Arabia had around 3 million people. Today, that number has crossed 26 million. More people means more water, and this growing demand placed unbearable pressure on the country's limited water sources. So the question becomes unavoidable. If there are no rivers and no lakes, where did Saudi Arabia get fresh water for decades? For a long time, the answer was hidden deep underground. Saudi Arabia relied on deep aquifers, ancient water reserves trapped beneath the earth. This water is called fossil water. It is water that accumulated over millions of years and does not naturally refill on a human time scale. Once used, it is essentially gone forever, for many decades. Saudi Arabia fulfilled nearly 70% of its water needs by pumping this fossil water out of the ground. At first, it felt like a miracle solution. But slowly, this lifeline turned into a ticking time bomb. Using fossil water is like running a battery that can never be recharged. And Saudi Arabia was draining it at an alarming speed, without fully realizing the consequences. The danger became impossible to ignore when NASA satellite data revealed a shocking truth. According to NASA's GRACE mission, between 2002 and 2016, Saudi Arabia was losing around 2 cubic kilometers of underground water every single year. That equals to trillion liters annually. At that time, the population was about 18 million, and each person was using an average of 310 liters of water per day. The global average is only 150 liters. Saudi Arabia was consuming water at more than double the world rate. This level of usage was unsustainable. There were no rivers to compensate, no rain to refill reserves, and yet the country continued drawing from its only natural water source. The situation became even worse due to one major government decision. In the 1970s, Saudi Arabia decided it would no longer depend on other countries for food. The goal was to grow wheat domestically, right in the desert. The intention was noble, but the result was disastrous. Government subsidies encouraged large-scale farming. Agriculture expanded rapidly, and by 2003, nearly 85% of Saudi Arabia's total water was being used just for farming. Within 3 decades, the underground water reserves were pushed to the brink of collapse. Eventually, the damage became impossible to hide. Fossil water reserves were shrinking fast, and the wheat farming program had to be shut down. The government made a critical decision. Whatever fossil water remained would be saved only for emergencies. But this created a new problem. If fossil water could no longer be used, and there were no rivers, where would fresh water come from now? The answer was nothing short of revolutionary. Saudi Arabia announced one of the most ambitious water projects ever imagined. A plan to build the world's largest artificial river, not above ground, but beneath the desert. This underground river would stretch nearly 12,000 kilometers. It would be built on a scale never attempted before. The goal was clear: create a permanent, controllable, and unlimited water supply for the entire nation. Every single day. This system would produce 9.4 million cubic meters of fresh water, equal to 940 billion liters, using advanced desalination technology. Salt water from the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf would be turned into drinkable water to reduce evaporation under extreme heat. The entire river system would run underground, delivering water even to the driest and most elevated regions of the country. This artificial river is not just a pipeline. It is a fully engineered water highway. The underground channels are designed for continuous, non-stop flow, ensuring water reaches cities, farms, and remote regions without interruption. The project is also tied to a larger dream. Saudi Arabia wants to revive domestic agriculture and reduce dependence on food imports. With stable water access, barren land could turn green again. Something once considered impossible in this region. The scale of this system is staggering. The river network has a width of 11 meters and a depth of 4 meters, stretching across 12,000 kilometers. Special anti-corrosion pipes with a 2.5 meter diameter transport water across vast distances. In total length, this pipeline network could be twice as long as the Nile River. But transporting water is only half the challenge. The real difficulty lies in turning seawater into fresh water at such massive volumes. For this, Saudi Arabia built 28 desalination plants along its coasts. These plants are not just removing salt. They are designed to do it using less energy, lower emissions, and maximum efficiency. Even under extreme demand, one major method used is multi-stage desalination. In simple terms, seawater is heated, turned into steam, and then condensed back into fresh water. But the scale is enormous. Imagine hundreds of steel tanks, each as long as a football field. Seawater moves through multiple chambers where pressure is carefully reduced. This allows water to evaporate at lower temperatures, saving energy. The steam is then condensed into clean drinking water. Even the leftover steam is reused to spin turbines, recovering part of the energy spent in the process. Alongside this, Saudi Arabia is rapidly expanding reverse osmosis technology. Inspired by human cell biology, this method pushes seawater through ultra-thin polymer membranes. The pores are so small that even viruses cannot pass through. These membranes remove 99% of salt and minerals, producing extremely pure water. Modern systems are highly efficient, requiring only 2.8 kilowatt-hours of electricity to produce 1,000 liters of water. Today, 66% of Saudi Arabia's water demand is met through desalination. Additionally, over 500 dams across the country store nearly 2 billion cubic meters of water, supporting cities, agriculture, and groundwater recharge. But there is a dark side to this miracle. Each liter of seawater contains about 35 grams of salt. If Saudi Arabia produces 940 billion liters of fresh water daily, it leaves behind around 329.0 tons of salt every day. That is more than the weight of 1,600 blue whales. Most of this salt, known as brine, is released back into the sea. In the Red Sea, this has already caused dead coral zones, where marine life has disappeared. Experts warn that high salinity and temperature changes threaten entire coastal ecosystems. To reduce this damage, Saudi Arabia is now developing deep-sea multi-diffusers, spreading brine across wider areas instead of dumping it in one place. Another idea under review is brine mining. Valuable minerals like magnesium and potassium could be extracted, turning waste into resources while reducing environmental harm. Despite these challenges, Saudi Arabia has become the largest desalinated water producer in the world. Guinness World Records recognizes its water delivery system as the largest pipeline network on Earth. One of the most unbelievable sights appears in Saudi Arabia's mountains. At elevations of 10,000 feet, pipelines carry water uphill using massive pumping stations. These stations operate 24 hours a day, forcing water against gravity. These pumping systems alone consume 9% of the country's total electricity. It is as if rivers are flowing backward, climbing mountains instead of descending. Saudi Arabia's underground river is more than infrastructure. It is a statement, a declaration that water scarcity can be challenged through technology, planning, and scale. A country with no natural rivers, no lakes, and almost no rainfall is now set to host the World Water Forum in 2027. The goal is clear. By 2030, Saudi Arabia aims to meet 100% of its water needs through this system. This project shows the world that even the harshest environments can be transformed. What once seemed impossible is now flowing silently beneath the desert and artificial river, carrying the future of an entire nation.